There is the question of what you have said about your relationship with Judaism. You said, I don't love Israel, and I don't care if the sentiment is reciprocated. But whenever anyone asks me whether or not I am Jewish, I unhesitatingly respond, in the affirmative, it would be a shame to do otherwise. Most of the controversy about you has to do with what you've said about the state of Israel.
Correct. My sense that it's because I'm Jewish that I should speak out critically about Israel's shortcomings. That's what annoys people, particularly, of course, my fellow Jews. I remember, maybe this was the trigger, but the pastor in a church in Connecticut invited me to come and talk about the Middle East. He said, you can say things that we cannot because you are Jewish, that because you don't risk saying things that they can't accuse you of, Holocaust denial or anti-Semitism and so on. I thought about that, and I thought, if we have reached the point where that's the only basis on which people will speak out, if they're secured against absurd accusations, then I must speak.
But you have spoken, you have said things like Israel today is bad for the Jews.
Right? I have no doubt that's true. What I meant in particular was that because Israel claims, and indeed describes itself to be a Jewish state, that once we thought that way, whenever Israel acts in ways that acts anger by the public opinion in general, or Arabs and Palestinians in particular, it's as a Jewish state that it is related to many places, to mention, particularly since the rise of the internet, a young Arab teenage boy. He doesn't have to be Palestinian. He could be an Algerian in a suburb of Paris. He watches the news on an Arab channel. He sees what is happening in Gaza. He's furious. He feels impotent, radicalized. So, what does he do? The next morning, he gets up and goes to the nearest school, scrawls an anti-Jewish slogan, "Know the wall," or worse, beats up the nearest Jewish kid that he sees. Just because it's unacceptable doesn't mean we can't explain it. And the explanation is all too often what's going on in the Middle East. Therefore, if Jews today in Belgium or France feel more insecure than they have for 40 or 50 years, they have what's going on in the Middle East to thank for that. Now that there's been a very large Middle Eastern constituency in their own countries, the more Israel insists that it is the heir to Auschwitz, and the more Israel insists that what happens to Israel affects Jews everywhere, the more Jews will indeed be affected by Israel's behavior. When Israel behaves badly, it's bad for Jews.